Tyson Fury promoter Frank Warren says the winner of Wilder versus Fury is the #1 heavyweight in the world. Stay tuned. Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. What up, fight world? It's your boy Ego and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing if you want to become part of the gang. Notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Now, shout out to ESPN, link in the description. They have an article. It says Frank Warren, winner of Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder, would be the #1 heavyweight in the world. Right? This is a direct quote. You've got two guys who do actually want to fight each other, providing that Tyson Fury comes through. Obviously, Tyson Fury is fighting this weekend on the same card as Carl Frampton, Luke Jackson. You've got the two heavyweights in Wilder and Fury who want to get it on, and whoever wins will be the #1 heavyweight in the world. That's not a disrespect to Anthony Joshua. They have stepped up to the plate. The fans will know that, and they're the ones who matter. He also talked and kind of compared Fury, his outing with Klitschko versus Joshua. He said Tyson Fury done a better job on Klitschko than Anthony Joshua did, and Klitschko was 18 months younger when he did it, right? So link in the description. I want to talk about these comments and give you guys my comments. Frank Warren's absolutely right. Now, I noticed this thing with the UK, like Eddie Hearn. He's the younger, kind of in-your-face guy, so some people like him and they just want to side. I side with what I believe in. You know what I mean? I see people, like certain channels will post something about Frank Warren, and they're like, oh, he's so bitter, he's so jealous, he's so fish eyes and all this shit. I don't give a fuck about none of that. I care about what each person is saying and what I believe in. And when it comes to that, there is no, like, there's nothing else but what I believe, you know what I mean? The truth. You know, I don't care about your age, gender, sexual preference. It's merely what you're saying versus what someone else is saying. Now, I agree with Frank Warren. Reason being, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, the timing is right. If Tyson Fury gets past Pineda, and that means he will still be undefeated. He's a guy who beat Klitschko before Anthony Joshua. So I get that Anthony Joshua has all the belts except for the WBC. However, you have to do the history and know the history of how he got each belt. You get what I'm saying? And if you don't, then I can understand why you would say Joshua, no, he has all the belts, so he would want. But I'll give you guys a quick recap. Tyson Fury beat Klitschko in an embarrassing fashion. Klitschko, he was befuddled, bewildered. He looked like shit in there. You know, wasn't the most scintillating fight, but Tyson Fury done what he had to do. He was frenetic movement and herky jerky, and Klitschko wasn't used to it. He wasn't used to that. A guy who's his height or taller, who can box and, you know what I mean, movement, and it didn't work out for him. Klitschko did not look good. Took an 18-month layoff, came back and fought Anthony Joshua. Initially, Klitschko was supposed to rematch Tyson Fury, but as you guys know, Tyson Fury failed multiple drug tests with the substance cocaine in his system. So obviously he had to relinquish his belts. The IBF belt was stripped before this failed drug test was discovered, because he was going to rematch Klitschko, which is bullshit. The IBF, they should know that there was a rematch clause, but basically the IBF stated, like, you can't fight your mandatory because you're fighting Klitschko in a rematch, because that was what was slated. So they said, we're stripping you. That stripped IBF belt was on a PBC undercard for Wilder. I think it was Wilder Spilka, if I'm not mistaken. And it was Charles Martin versus Glasgow, and Glasgow twisted up his knee. Charles Martin was winning, and He, you know what I mean, scored more rounds. But it didn't end in the traditional way. Charles Martin becomes a new champion. And Eddie Hearn, who was moving Joshua a lot slower, fighting guys like Kevin Johnson, Gary Cornish and stuff, they seen that opportunity. Oh, Charles Martin, he's unproven, right? Who is Charles Martin? You know what I mean? He's not, we could beat him. And then they got in touch with Al Heyman's people. Charles Martin got a couple mil to go over there, and he got knocked out in the second round, I think, by Anthony Joshua. Joshua was just too big, strong, and precise for Charles Martin. So it was a good breakout performance. Boom, Joshua becomes the IBF champion of the world. It's a good power move. You know what I mean? It made sense. If I was Eddie Hearn, I'm not knocking him. I would have did the same thing. But realistically speaking, he went through a guy who was unproven as a champion and earned his title through kind of a default, a fight that didn't even go full rounds to show us what either person was made of. And ultimately, Charles Martin was just grossly unproven, right? So they seen the opportunity, seized it. He had no title defenses or anything. So, it was a smart move because that's what got it on and popping for Joshua. But I really believe, here's the proof of what I'm about to say, is this is how you know they looked at him as a weaker champion, a weaker link, because he was new. Is why didn't they go after Tyson Fury when he just beat Klitschko? Why didn't they say we want to fight Tyson Fury next? Because you know how good Tyson Fury was. You know what I mean? And you didn't want to fight him because where Joshua was at that particular point, let's say he was 15, 16 fights in, they weren't ready for that. Same thing with Wilder. Wilder was already, at the time of the Charles Martin fight, Wilder was already the WBC champion. He had already beaten Bermain Severn for the title. That was in January of the year they fought. I think 2016. This is all off the top of my head. So why didn't you go after Wilder? Because once again, you went after the weakest champion, the guy who was the least proven. Fury had already beaten Klitschko. Wilder had hurt and beat Bermain Severn, who beat Chris Arreola twice, second time by stoppage, and Deontay Wilder convincingly beat Severn. So obviously Charles Martin didn't have any performances even like that. He didn't have a Bermain Severn, who at least beat a Chris Arreola. He definitely didn't have a Klitschko win like Tyson Fury. So again, that's the right time and opportunity. And then Klitschko, coming off the Tyson Fury loss, 18-month layoff, fought Joshua and gave him a war. They traded knockdowns and Klitschko was eventually stopped. 41 years old, 18-month layoff, coming off an embarrassing performance with Tyson Fury where he hadn't lost in the nine or 10 years almost, So that's who Joshua beat for a vacant title. He defended his IBF, but he also fought for like the IBO and, vacant WBA belt. You get what I'm saying? Because at this point, Tyson Fury had already failed his drug test. The Klitschko rematch got canceled and Tyson Fury had to relinquish his belts. So this is the pedigree. And then most recently, Joshua unified against Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker, nice guy, but at the end of the day, Joseph Parker, even as a champion, the fight he became a champion was against Andy Ruiz Jr., and he arguably lost that. It was a split decision, so that indicates what it was, a very close fight. It's not like Joseph Parker schooled up Andy Ruiz, knocked him down several times, nothing like that. It was a close fight. Some people even had Andy Ruiz winning if you watched the fight. Beyond that, Joseph Parker didn't have strong performances. He fought on YouTube pay-per-view against Hughie Fury, and it was a horrible fight. You know what I mean? That's why no one talks about that fight. A lot of you guys didn't even watch it. It's not an entertaining fight. Wasn't a good fight. And he fought against the guy that Luis King Kong Ortiz knocked out in 2 rounds. And Joseph Parker went the full distance with him. You know what I mean? Luis King Kong Ortiz knocked the same dude out, Raz Kojanu, in 2 rounds, coming off of a Deontay Wilder loss. So again, as far as I'm concerned, Joseph Parker, he still needed development, and that's who Joshua chose to unify with. So fast forward to the Frank Warren comments. absolutely, Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury winner is the #1 heavyweight in the world, bar none. Because Wilder beating Luis King Kong Ortiz, there was no excuse possible. Ortiz was undefeated. He was the boogeyman. He was a threat. He's a southpaw, which gives a lot of orthodox fighters problems. He has power in both hands. He can fight aggressively, which he does. He can get on his toes and box, which he does, you know? And you have to look at it. He hurt Wilder in the 7th round with the right hand, but he's left-handed. So it shows you he has power in both hands. So that win, plus you look at like Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury derailed Klitschko, who hadn't lost in nearly a decade. You know what I mean? Joshua fought the version coming off the Fury loss, right? For a vacant title. So even though Joshua has more belts, I think the pedigree and who Wilder beat recently, who Tyson Fury beat in his recent fights, not his comeback, but Klitschko, namely beating Derek Chisora twice, things like that, that just show you who's the #1 heavyweight. You know what I mean? Because to me, Joshua, a lot of people see, I give credit to Joshua. I think he's a good fighter, but people are acting like Joshua has this Floyd Mayweather, Miguel Cotto, Pacquiao type of resume, and he really doesn't. The big difference is why people are clowning or trying to clown Wilder's resume is because Wilder has double the fights. But every fighter has a different journey. You know, Canelo didn't start fighting the big name guys until 30 some odd fights, 40 some odd fights. You get what I'm saying? Because he has a different experience. Whereas Lomachenko stayed amateur so long, that's why he only has like 12 fights and he already has really good names on it, because he has to get the ball rolling. So we can't expect the same thing when each fighter has their own story and journey. But I agree with Frank Warren. Tyson Fury Wilder winner, definitely #1 in my book for the heavyweight division. Let me know if you think it'll happen. Frank Warren said it's 99.9% sure. Tyson Fury just has to win and hopefully look good in doing it. Let me know if you disagree. Do you think Wilder or Tyson Fury would be the #1 heavyweight and the heavyweight to beat, or somehow are you picking Anthony Joshua? Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.